Episode 2. We're back.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, boys?
How we doing, Mike?
What's going on, Mike?
I got to say, I loved last week. I'm enjoying this show and talking a little TV with you guys. And I want to get to, the world of big Hollywood stars and everything. But I think we have to address kind of the independent up-and-comers and the show that's really sweeping the nation today. Mm-hmm. It's all the buzz on Twitter and everything. It's the first episode. Well, I take that back. It's one of those shows that catches on. Like Breaking Bad didn't really catch on until season 4 either, I don't think. Yeah. So this was season 4, episode 18. I don't know how you missed this gem of Cullen.
So good.
I thought it was fucking phenomenal. I don't know what you boys thought.
Even the commercials, Mike, even the commercials for this show are fantastic. I loved it. It was awesome.
It's weird when you have a show start to finish, including the previews and the commercial, where it's all... It's funny, yet it's compelling, and it tugs at your heartstrings. It's really unbelievable. The acting was incredible. The writing. In all seriousness, I should say.
I have a friend from home who doesn't listen to Kirk much, and I sent a lot of people this episode, and I was like, just listen to this one. And he listened to it, and he texted me back, and he's like, now the beginning started as if this is like the second or third one we did. I was like, no. That's how much he liked it. This just shows how Kirk's genius.
I wonder about that. If did he give any feedback as far? Because I'm curious, just if this is your first episode, because I think you were mentioning, Red, that Kirk was on with Erica today. And that probably after that, I'm assuming some people listened and said, oh, let me check out this podcast. And that's the first episode they listened to. Obviously, they have no idea what's going on, but I wonder if you can see the humor in it, even if you have no context at all.
You have to be able to hear that in the show. Like, it's automatically you get into it. You get Steve's sultry narrator voice, and you're just into this episode right away. And then you get Mayo and everybody else. So, like, the first time I'm listening through as a well-seasoned listener, I'm listening to the people and trying to pick out who the Minifans are in there. I wonder what it's like for that first listener going through that's not really aware of all that, what that sounds like to them. They probably had an easier time getting into it. I know I struggled with that. It was just the first time through, I was listening to who everybody was first. The second time through, I was more into the story. So maybe that helps too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know if we're giving away who each individual cast member is yet.
Yeah,
I'll leave that for the show tomorrow. But I will say, whoever played Brian McGrory did a masterful job in capturing a creepy office pervert. I think that was really brilliant casting by Steve. That was just the perfect voice for that role. It really sucked me into the character.
Yep. Yeah. No, He really captured it. I'm surprised there was a certain person they didn't ask about it. But he really lived the character, and I thought it was good. And it was funny because it was a kind of like a subtle shot behind the scenes too, because like we have that blog too. So I think Steve kind of gave me that subtle shot there too.
Excellent.
He's a master of his craft.
I didn't see as much like with the Hammer episode. It was probably 50-50, almost right down the middle, where people are like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand it. And then the people that loved it. This was not, I almost exclusively saw people like, this is amazing. This is incredible. I can't believe it. But I'm surprised by, I guess I'm not surprised by the people that didn't necessarily like it, which there were not many, but I'm surprised by a guy like Menners who says, I don't get it. They shouldn't have done it. I'm surprised by that in the sense of, he doesn't even like talking about Cullen. So obviously he's not going to like a whole episode where it's the script, but it's like, how do you not get the kind of the brilliance that went into it? How much work it took, the humor, like it was hilarious. Kirk saying, Cullen saying, the only things I break are bones. What was
that line? That line, I think, will
I only break rules, bones, and stories. How do you not fucking love that?
Line
What's wrong with you?
I've ever had.
Well, I think I saw it the night before. I think we could all kind of tell this was coming. Like there was, obviously you guys had hinted on it on the show. There was Kirk with the accent during one of the ad reads, and so we were kind of all hoping for it. It seemed like on Twitter, but I could tell like Menners the night before had put up the poll to kind of get the tone, or at least check the temperature of the Minifans and see what everybody was thinking as far as what this episode was going to be. Were you going to like it? Were you going to hate it? and it just seemed like he was primed and ready to go. To not like it because he didn't like the Cullen anniversary, which
I mean that's just it. If you don't like 40 minutes of us talking about a script for a show, you're certainly not going to like it acted out. So I'm not surprised he didn't love the episode.
Right.
I'm just surprised where he's like, oh, this is horrible. I'm 16 minutes in and I can't do anymore. It's like, really? You listen to Kirk for that long and you can't appreciate what he's doing? Like that's the only part that surprises me.
If you had gotten him involved in it, I think he would have loved it.
He'd be more. Maybe an Australian rather than an Irish.
Mayo is contrarian as they come, and he probably loved the show today. I can't figure out why. I don't know if he was involved or not, but it just seems like he loved the show today for whatever reason.
So I think that's my favorite episode of any podcast ever because I don't think it's the most original episode of a podcast. I've never listened to anything like that I can even compare it to, but I'm sure we'll talk about it plenty tomorrow.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. So let's get into some new. Well, no, we don't have any news necessarily.
Yeah. So I'll get into the top of the show stuff here. We don't have much news today. Obviously, the biggest news on to go right now is Universal is not going to be allowed in Regal and AMC theaters. Now, I don't have any Regal or AMC near me, so it's not a huge deal to me, but it's kind of shaking the nation. It's all over the fact that they released Trolls Worldwide Tour or whatever the hell it was called, to streaming only, and it's doing unbelievable. So I guess Regal and AMC kind of looked at it like it was a slight at them, and so I don't know.
What the fuck are they going to do now? Just stop making money because the world is shut down? Like, I don't understand that.
Well, and it sounds like there might be more theaters maybe that will join in on this ban to try and prevent others from doing what Universal has done. But like we were talking about earlier, John, there's that Universal's got that new James Bond movie that's coming out. That's the one I know for me personally. That was the one that was going to get me into the theaters before all this coronavirus came. And I think that's the one that they have where maybe I don't know that AMC has the stones to say that we're not going to show that James Bond movie whenever we get out of this. So I don't know how much this game of chicken is going to play out and work in their favor too. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting, but I think for the theaters to be ballsy right now and try to take that sort of stand is a dangerous game because everyone's going to eventually go to streaming anyways. Like, I hope that's not true. I like going to the movie theater.
I do too.
It's true.
I do too. I hate the like the hate they give to the streaming platforms. I just do. I just hate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what's on the Netflix top 5 so we know what we might be talking about down the road.
We got our Netflix top 5. So we have Never Have I Ever. This was made by Mindy from The Office.
Oh, Mindy Kaling?
Mindy Kaling from The Office. So that's number 1 right now. Number 2, we have Extraction. Number 3, Outer Banks, the only one that was on last week's list to stick in there.
So I was going to ask about that. Should we add that to our list now? Because I don't have a ton of interest in it, but it seems like a lot of people are talking about it.
Well, I was going to say, so I think Girls in the Office, I think Rhea has...
Chicks in the Office. Girls in the Office.
Excuse me, Chicks in the Office. Sorry about that. That would be Girls in the Office.
You said that to me earlier. I thought you meant people at your office.
Just ladies. Just ladies. Gals I'm friends with.
Yeah, you know how they are. In the Office. I could tell that's the show that they've hooked on, and it looks like another Dawson's Creek, type of a show.
Oh, okay. See, that's not how it was pitched to me.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those dramas that I think would be funny to make, for us to shit on a little bit. So
okay.
That could be good.
When you have a show like the Big Show that we're going to talk about later, and then you put it up against this, maybe that's Pizza Crap. I mean, how can we sit here and decide to spend time on that?
Right. It's going to be tough for us to get into any other show, really. Like when you've hit the pinnacle like that, when you've reached the mountaintops of fucking television.
Right.
What else in the top 5?
So then after that, we got Last Kingdom, a show I love. It's kind of like a Vikings style show. It's about Vikings and the English and that stuff. So that's in the 4, but I think that's just because it released this week. And then last we have Murder to Mercy. This is a documentary. So that rounds out the top 5. So I mean, check them out. Extraction
might be checking some of those out. None of them I love though.
I think Extraction has Chris Hemsworth in it. I think.
Okay. Yeah, like Never Have I Ever actually looks like it could be a funny show. I think there's like another show that was like that. It's like On My Block, or it's like a teenage version, but it's more real. It's written by adults, and it's looks like it's actually pretty funny. I'm not a huge Mindy Kaling fan.
I actually love Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I loved her on The Office. I liked the first couple seasons of her show, and then it got a little too rom-commy.
Mhm.
But I think she's very funny, so I would check that out.
She was one of the
probably a better
original writers
writer,
for The Office, right? Like she
For
was,
sure, yeah.
yeah. She is the reason that Scranton was picked. I don't know if anyone knows that, but she came here. That footage of the "Welcome to Scranton" sign was her on her first visit to Scranton.
Well, go tell that to Lucy Birch. Not save it for your fucking Office podcast. So I know John in particular. I thought this would be a me and Red thing, but John seems even more excited than us to get into the Big Show. I was taken aback by it,
guys. I turned on episode 1. I had my notes ready to bash this thing, guys. This is my new favorite show. I think this is going to be critically acclaimed within a couple weeks when people notice it. After the 14 people watching right now watch this show and go watch it, it's going to be an Emmy, an Emmy winner.
I loved it as well. Go ahead, Red, because I watched it from a strange standpoint. So let's hear from you first.
I think when we brought it up, I don't know if it was you, Mike, who texted us or whatever it was, but my response, I think, was who is this show for? I don't understand.
Right.
Like I'm clearly too old for this. I think Kirk mentioned that Harry Minahan loves the show, so maybe it's for John and Harry. I don't know.
That's what I wanted to ask. Are we
assholes?
Are we assholes for making fun of this? Is it for children? Because I didn't get the vibe that it was.
It can't be
targeted towards kids.
It can't be.
I
think he needed some money, and they're just afraid to say no to him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the audience, I could see kids liking it because it's kind of just a corny sitcom, and it had sort of that like Nickelodeon feel, a little bit. But it's like it just seemed like corny sitcom writing. It didn't seem like it was targeted for kids. I think it's just kids like Harry are gonna like it because it's the big show,
right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they don't for 1 second let you stop noticing that it's the Big Show. Whether it's the fact that they his wife calls him Show on the show. Mm-hmm. They all call him the Big Show. And every joke is, look how big this fucking guy. Can you believe how big this man is? Yep. Oh, look at that. I broke something that a regular person wouldn't break. I'm too big for this doorway. Every fucking second. This is a big motherfucker, huh?
I was waiting for what episode they were going to go into the fact that he's going to break things. And episode 2, immediately, the whole premise of it was I broke the home I'm trying to sell. So I mean, but like I said, I love the show. I love the little sister. The tiny sister. I think her name is JJ. I love her. I love her character. She's hilarious.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that Full House is a huge influence on the show, even to the fact where they've got the little sassy sister.
Yes, yeah.
They have the cutaway, which I believe this was taped in Florida. I don't.
The B-roll. The B-roll.
The B-roll. So they get the B-roll shots where they cut away. You see the bridge. You see the house. Like it's full on Full House without the great opening song. So you've got all those things. And it was just like, and I was going through. As I was watching, I was tracking the first jokes. So the first joke that Big Show comes out with, I just had to say this is, I'm only scared of 2 things: mascots and shopping for jeans at Banana Republic. That's his first joke on the show.
That joke is followed by him going something about ADB, and he goes, all day butts.
His fear of mascots is like a theme through the early parts of the show. I don't know who this is for. Again, I guess it's John and Harry. It's great. I loved watching it. It was hilarious.
I really enjoyed, I threw it on at 2 a.m. when I was going to bed, and I stayed up until the 4th episode was over, and I turned it off wishing, maybe I'll stay up tonight.
So I watched it from the perspective of I watched it with my girlfriend, and she was kind of excited. She was like, oh, okay, great. Because when she was a kid, when she came over to this country, one of the things she could watch, because it was in it was broadcast in multiple languages, was wrestling. And you don't really need to know English to watch wrestling necessarily. So when she came over here, she watched wrestling. She learned who the Big Show was. And she was watching it the way I would watch it if, like, I don't even know if this is a good comparison, but like if Tom Brady was doing this, where she was like, why is he doing this? Like,
that would be degrading.
And she would say, I'd be watching it and I would laugh at certain things because they were corny. She's like, he's a legend. This man is a legend, and he's resorted to this. So it was interesting to see from that perspective, where I was like, she was in horror as someone who grew up liking wrestling. She's like, why does he need money? Why has it come to this?
Which I think
for the Big Show.
Do. I think that was what this boiled down to. Was I think the Big Show needed a little check real quick. And
I think that's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. You go to a movie executive and you're the Big Show. You think you're getting the no? You think you're getting the no? Imagine how stressful that agent's life is.
As someone who was a wrestling fan, like at that time period, like I love The Rock, Stone Cold. I don't know why the Big Show was the go-to. I don't understand. Like, I don't know, like a Chris Jericho, The Edge. Who else are we?
I'll tell you the answer. Chris Jericho probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't. There are certain maybe the Edge would. I don't know a lot about him, but yeah, I'll tell you, because with the Big Show, you can jam in 40 million jokes. This is a big fuck. This is a gigantic motherfucker. And with, like, Chris Jericho, it's just like he's kind of a regular good looking guy. So maybe you couldn't pull that off. Yeah. It's essentially, there's nothing other than the extreme, like where he's extremely large. There's nothing you couldn't just plug into a Kevin James sitcom. And that's kind of what I love about it, because you don't get those. Like, Netflix doesn't do a ton of those. So I kind of love it in a way.
Yeah,
and Blind Prison Mike in the comments here had a comment, and he said the Hardy Boys, that would be a good show. That would be a real now you put the Hardy Boys in this situation, boom, you got another.
But I think so. Like, I think about like Blind Prison Mike and some of these other meta fans who are parents, and they're on this quarantine right now. This is probably a perfect show. Like, I could totally see a Dave Cullinane popping on this show and hanging out with the kids,
right,
and watching this shit.
Well, he's watching right now. Dave, make sure you throw this on for the kiddies.
You got to put it on. Like, it has to happen. So if I was going to recommend it to anybody, it would be those Minifans who have those kids, those younger kids that are just looking for shit to watch right now and keep them going right now.
Or if you like watching bad shows, like it's a good. I mean, everyone's quarantined right now, but if you're with your girlfriend or a couple roommates, whatever, it's a good show to watch and just shit on and laugh at. Like, it really is. And I'm not even shitting on the show. Like, it's enjoyable in that way. I think it almost serves a good function. Like, I like it and hope they keep making seasons. Like,
we couldn't have picked a better bad show to watch first here, because like I loved it. Like, it was easy to throw on. I didn't struggle through it. Like, I loved it. Other fun fact to get people watching, the wife is a smoke.
She's hot.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird that they would cast a good-looking woman. You'd think they'd usually the formula is an ugly woman and a decent-looking guy, but they really switched it up on this one.
Yep. But yeah, no, I thought she was a smoke. I love the little sister. The middle sister is such a lib cuck. I hate her.
There are a lot of the little girl is very liberal.
In episode 1, like, you guys think you could wait like down, build the character a little bit before you show her bobblehead dolls of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and having a sit-in. Like,
I know I got to tune in to the Big Show to get lectured by AOC. Like, this is where I'm going to get it too. This is bullshit.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to mention that who were the three names she mentioned? She said Ruth Bader Ginsburg, AOC, and there was another name.
Leslie Knope was one of them.
Leslie Knope. That's what I was going to ask. I was
character.
like, am I that fucking old that now Leslie Knope is a reference where, like, a child wouldn't know who that is, like, thinks she's a real politician? Like, it was a weird moment where I was like, oh, I'm an older guy now. Like, that's a reference to me that I understand.
Was Steve Urkel, the guy who plays Steve Urkel, the gym owner? Okay.
Yes.
Because I had that in my notes, but I was like, don't get fooled, John. That guy just looks like Steve Urkel.
Jaleel White is back, man. And
I always wonder with guys like that, it's like, so Jaleel White has obviously now found fame on the Big Show, and he had Family Matters many years ago, but like, he was an actor. This is what I always think of with guys like that. He was an actor for all those years. So when we didn't see him, he was still making money acting. Like that's kind of incredible to me that he's able to stay off our radar completely. I don't know a fucking thing Jaleel White has done, but he makes money acting. That's kind of incredible to me.
Now, do guys like that? I mean, he still makes royalties from his old stuff. You think, or no?
I was going to say, there's no way. I can't imagine unless he was a total dummy with his money. There's probably no way he needs this money. You know, not like the big
I'm sure he needs any role that he's offered, though, just to feel relevant.
Yeah, I don't know with stuff like that either, because Family Matters, you forget that was a TGIF show, so that was on like Friday nights.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he really cashed in or not.
Yeah, that's true.
But oddly enough, the show I didn't like I loved the Big Show. The show I didn't really like was Watchmen, the very critically acclaimed HBO program.
Yes.
I could not get into this. I watched the first couple episodes, and it was a struggle for me. And I only kept going because of this show. Like I would have just stopped if it wasn't for this show. Not that it was bad. Here's what I'll start with a positive. I like that because the movie is very different, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I do like that. I mean, so it's technically based on Watchmen, but they took a thing instead of like the Ghostbusters movie where they're like, hey, remember Ghostbusters? Now it's the same script, but with women.
Right.
It's like, well, why do that? What they did instead is created a whole new character. They said, let's make a black female lead, but create a whole new character that's kind of based on something. Yeah, kind of based on something, but we're making it completely our own.
No,
that's what I really liked about it.
Have you ever were you ever into Watchmen, like the movie or like
no
graphic novel? Okay.
I'll tell you, I kind of knew I wasn't going to like this going in. I did it to be a team player for you guys. I could tell you wanted to watch it, but I knew I don't like Marvel movies. I don't like any of that shit. I liked, I think I said to you last week, I liked the Dark Knight and the Joker, which is not even. That's what
they have nothing.
That's what people who don't like superhero movies say. Yeah, it's like, well, I like these two.
And when it comes to the superhero movies, Mike, and the shows, is there also a visual component too for you? Because it seems like those things are so much more built around the CGI and the effects of it. Not so much the Watchmen here, but
not even that. I'll tell you what it is. It's that not even that I don't appreciate the CGI as much, which I don't. But it's also that there's a lot of action, and there's times where I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when there's switching cameras and everything, I'm just like, I'm totally lost.
Yeah.
This show was built around one thing too that you wouldn't ever appreciate because you didn't know, but like the Easter eggs in this show were unbelievable. Yeah. And I only noticed half the ones I noticed because of watching, LCB. They did after every episode, they did the reviews of them. And, but they had things down to the skinny agent that worked with Lori in the show, that skinny guy. They did the thing when the show was going on. They had a fake website, and it was him basically his journal throughout the whole thing. So there were small references to that. The Easter eggs in every episode had about 20 Easter eggs. The guy who made Lost. The show.
That's what I was going to say. This is right up my alley because I loved Lost. I loved Watchmen. So it was really good to be able to get those two to come together. And so Damon Lindelof is the one who was a part of Lost with J.J. Abrams, who did this with Watchmen. And for anybody that wants to do a deeper dive on this and listen to Lindelof talk about it on a podcast, don't do it because he's totally pretentious.
A crazy guy. Yeah, he's a crazy asshole.
And the one thing I think that turned off a lot of people, and we were talking to Justin about this last week, was the criticism of the show is how woke it is and how much it's trying to fit in these times with Trump and everything else.
That was an episode 1 watcher, because after episode 1, I was like, this better not be a show about racism and and watching episode 1, you think that immediately, oh, okay, I know what your agenda was. Now you took Watchmen, where you had a built-in audience, and you made it your agenda to
even the beginning of episode 2, you kind of think okay, they're really hammering this.
And by episode 10, you have no idea that you ever thought that,
Right. And like you said, Mike, with the new Ghostbusters, where they just try and jam that in there with an all-female cast. Regina King, for me, is so good in this. I've loved her since
Scary Movie.
since
It's
Boys.
crazy. The girl that was in Scary Movie is now her.
Well,
Yeah,
so
right.
she did Boys in the Hood. I loved her in Poetic Justice. She's been so great in those movies early on, and she's still so good. I think this to me felt different in that, where it felt like it didn't feel like it was trying to shoehorn something in there and really piss all of us
Right.
off by putting the politics in there.
They said,
It
"Hey,
just
let's
felt that-
find a great actress who happens to be a black woman to
Right.
star in this show," rather than, okay, let's take what if we made The Godfather with a Hispanic gay youth?
Right.
It's like, well, that just
Called
wouldn't make
Narcos.
any fucking sense.
Right.
It just wouldn't. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't make any fucking sense. So
Right.
instead, they came up with an original storyline. They took something that existed but made it their own. So that is what I liked about it. But
And
I went
it's
in with an
like-
open mind. Sorry,
What
John.
people
Yeah.
don't understand about Watchmen is Watchmen was a one-time graphic novel, and it was genius. In the comic book world, Watchmen is beloved because it's a completely different universe than the Batman, because DC did this, so it's nothing to do with Batman.
Right.
DC has never connected what Watchmen has to do with it. So for years, people have been waiting for that show to come out to say, what are they doing with this? What does Watchmen have to do? Like, people say that Watchmen is a world where Dr. Manhattan never made Superman or never made superheroes. And that's what, like a person like Batman who doesn't use a gun or has any morals. And that's what you get out of superheroes is this mess, but they've never made that connection. And people were sitting there waiting for what happens to Dr. Manhattan. It's like, this is a series that touched on things that people have been waiting for years. So, and I thought they killed it. They said it in a reality that was kind of a sequel to the graphic novel, where all the stuff in the graphic novel has happened already. We got to see characters from the movie that actually played the character in the movie. Like, it was cool, like that kind of stuff. I thought Jeremy Irons killed his role. I thought he was awesome in this show. And the character they picked for him to play was unbelievable. Ozymandias is one of the best villain heroes there are.
He's perfect for that. Now, what I loved about Lost and what I loved about this show is, Lindelof does a good job with timelines and maneuvering those. So I wonder with you, Mike, I don't know how many episodes you were able to get through, but
3.
He does such a good job of jumbling the timelines. Was there any confusion on your part? Like,
yes. I was confused. I was confused the entire time I was watching this fucking show. But I will say, so here's my official, I think you guys are doing a good job of explaining why people like that kind of stuff should watch it.
Right.
My review will be for the people that don't typically like superhero movies. And I went in thinking like, hey, and I knew it was different than Batman, but I went in thinking like, I like Batman. I like the more realistic shit about superheroes. So if it's like that, I like it. And then, 10 minutes in, when there's cops with yellow masks on and squids falling out of the fucking sky, I was like, well, this probably won't be for me.
That's the kind of stuff like where Lindelof, he killed it this episode. People were like worried after Lost, because I know it was a controversial end to Lost. People were worried, what is he going to do with this ending? And then you see he tied every loose end for you. The squids were actually, spoiler alert, but the squids were actually Ozymandias the whole time. Ozymandias was actually brought back, all that kind of stuff lined up perfectly, and you had to wait till the last episode, and then you go through and watch it again, and stuff like the egg, you see that kind of stuff actually had meaning before. That's a Game of Thrones move where you hide in little Easter eggs for future episodes, and then you watch it again and you notice those Easter eggs. He kind of incorporated all that kind of stuff. The stuff they did outside the show with the website they had. I enjoyed every second of Watchmen. I really did.
And I'd say so this is a sequel of Watchmen, and I think he did a really great job with it. My fear is, like you talked about with Lost, and I would say the same thing with J.J. Abrams and what he did with Star Wars. Both Lindelof and J.J. Abrams struggle with endings, and I fear that there's going to be another season of this.
So he's already said there's not going to be. Now
they say that all. They say that shit a lot.
They say that all the time. But I trust Lindelof. Lindelof's an asshole, so he's not going to do it. So he has already said right when it ended, everyone loved the ending.
Right.
They pressured him to make a new season.
Yeah.
He said, you know what? I'm going to take a week. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to think it over. If I could think of the script, if I could think of the story, because you have to know the Watchmen series very well to write the script that he did, because the inside stuff is insane. The amount he knew, it's insane. And he went on vacation. He came back. He said, nope, can't think of anything. Not going to do it.
Yep.
So what do you guys think is, I put the poll question up the other day, but what do you guys think is the second best? I think it's pretty unanimous. The Sopranos is the best HBO drama ever, maybe the best drama ever. Even if you don't like it, you got to respect what it did. It also created Mad Men and Breaking Bad and the anti-hero and all that stuff. I think you kind of have to put the Sopranos number one.
Yeah.
What would you guys put number two?
When Sopranos was on, my parents used to have like HBO watch parties with their friends. And that was when they were just HBO. And like I was a little kid, they let me watch it. Like I would go to the parties with them. Like,
it was a phenomenon. It
was.
Yeah, there's nothing we have. I mean, Game of Thrones is the closest our generation will get to something like that, but there's nothing.
Entourage, I did the same thing. Like all of my friends would come over and we watch Entourage, and then Game of Thrones, same thing. Right. And then to think I did that after watching Game of Thrones for Entourage, of all a half-hour episode of Entourage is insane.
I loved, for our age group, John, when we were in high school, Entourage was the
coolest thing.
It was the coolest thing in the world. These guys are fucking and just living the life. They're rich. They're speeding around in cars. It was fucking awesome.
Right. But what's
baby, you're so money.
once you get to like the third season and you feel the formula that they're doing, it's like, okay, all right, fucking, we get it. Like,
well, that's like the criticism of Entourage was that they changed and tried to get too soap opera-y or like too sticking to a storyline, and like Vince is on drugs and all that kind of shit. I thought it was it wasn't. Those weren't the best episodes by any stretch. But I did respect that they were doing it, because I was like, all right, well, for the first 4 seasons, you bashed the show saying all they do is, fuck and have celebrity cameos. So now they're trying to change it and do something different with it. It's like can you really fault them?
That's an example of like people on the internet don't know what they're talking about, actually. Other than they said Sonic needed to change his eyes, because that fucked with me. But half the time you should stop listening to haters,
I found that to be the case.
Right, Mike.
I love the poll though, Mike, because you are right. Like the Sopranos, you take that out of the equation and figure out what your favorite drama is on HBO. Mine is still it's still True Detective season 1. Like I was okay with season 3. Season 2 was obviously a bomb, but season 1 True Detective for me is something that I always go back to, more so than anything else. It's so much more rewatchable, which is the thing I'm looking for all the time. So I'm curious to see what yours was, John, but mine was True Detective season 1.
So mine, and I take this very seriously. I think HBO television is the top of the top, obviously, but mine, the best show I think HBO ever did was The Wire, but my favorite show is Game of Thrones. I mean, I've read the Game of Thrones books about 17 times. I've watched through the seasons about literally over 50 times. I've watched those episodes. Obviously, when it got to the point where the books ended and the writers had to start writing, it was a slow decline. But the way I looked at it was like, here's another story. We'll get Martin's story, but here's point B, But Game of Thrones will always be my number. Like I could teach a Harvard course, and they have a course on Game of Thrones there, and they didn't ask me, and I actually wrote a letter to them about it.
Or is it shocking they didn't go for you?
It's insane. I don't know the difference between 2 and 2, but they didn't pick me for a Harvard course. No, Game of Thrones will definitely. I think it changed how people looked at television, how television was made. Even I was talking about before, like the little premieres they showed before an episode, how they used that to show like past episodes where they snuck in like the answer to a question you've been waiting for 10 weeks. Like it was in front of your eyes. Like they knew how to play the audience very well, so, and also Phil is a dragon. So I got to say, I like dragons.
I knew The Wire and Game of Thrones would be the top 2 options. And I didn't put this as an option because I didn't think anyone would even say it. No one responded with it or anything, but my personal, I think this was very underrated, was Boardwalk Empire. People fell off. Like people really loved that the first season because Scorsese was tied to it. I know once they killed off Jimmy Dormady, that people fell off of it, but it was still a good show. Like Gyp Rosetti is one of the best bad guys in TV history, I think. It was an underrated show. I mean,
same with the guy with that's in Westworld. That guy, he was in Hunger Games too. The black guy. What the hell is his name? I can't think of it right now. But he was in season 4, I think. You know what happened to Boardwalk Empire?
Yes. Narcisse.
Narcisse. Yeah. Dr. Narcisse. You know what happened to Boardwalk Empire was Game of Thrones came out. It killed Boardwalk Empire.
You're right. I didn't really think of it that way, but yeah, you're right.
The season before Boardwalk Empire was ended, it came out and it completely took the nation by storm, obviously. And people, and it's funny because the real audience for Game of Thrones didn't come until after, season 4.
Yeah.
But
I do think the odd thing, one thing they did it's good. Like HBO, what I love about HBO is they're never afraid to kill off main characters. Like from The Sopranos on, they don't like. HBO's never said where, and I only say that because networks, see if there was some beloved, like a Cullen, say, if they wanted to kill off Eddie on Cullen, CBS would step in and say, "You can't." The people love this guy,
right?
So what HBO has never done is step in and say, "You can't kill off a character." And I think it's good. That's where the story needed to go for Boardwalk Empire. But it is one example where, after Jimmy Dormandy died, the audience was kind of like, well, whereas if Jimmy Dormandy lived and it was Jimmy versus Nucky for at least a season, I think a lot more people would have been interested.
They needed to go with. They killed him off in season 2? I think that was way too early. But I mean, now to contradict your point, look at Game of Thrones. Their main character they killed off in episode 7, not even the last episode of episode 9 of the first season. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I'm saying I like that they do it. But that's the one instance where where it might have been a bad idea.
That was the only time I ever Googled, because when I saw that live, it was before I actually dove into the books and shit. I actually Googled is Ned Stark really dead? And that was the last time I ever Googled the answer to what happened on that show, because I was like, they shook me to the point where I had to be like, did they really just kill Sean Bean off? Ever since that day too, I've hated the Starks. I'm a Lannister.
I love Ned Snark instead.
Ned Snark, that's the Snark for me.
Without that, we don't get Ned Snark. So
yeah, exactly. That handsome man.
I know.
So I know Red has been excited for this for a couple of weeks. He mentioned it to me. He's been seething. America's sweetheart is Pam Beesly.
Yes.
And, as you may know, at the end of for all the diehard fans that go back 1 week with us, you may remember that at the end of the show, we deconstruct a character or a show or something that people generally like, and we try and ruin it for them. I'm kind of surprised by this, that Red hates America's sweetheart, Pam Beesly. But let's hear it, Red.
Well, okay. So this has been probably the most mentions I've ever gotten.
Every day I wake up to about 40. So
this is the thing that everyone is talking about. I've gotten DMs about this. I've had bets with other people where if I would stand up for Pam Beesly, they'll switch from light mode Twitter to dark mode Twitter.
That was another debate this week.
This has been a contentious topic, which I love. I come to you with facts. These are facts only. Okay. I'm going to be tough but fair with Pam Beesly. And I've got 2 pages of notes here. I just need to go through. I'll present this to you. You guys do with it what you will. Okay.
All right.
The character development of The Office, you cannot is underrated. It's a comedy series, but they did a great job with Jim and Pam specifically in their character development. The dichotomy of man is what I'm looking for when it comes to a movie or a show. So I've got Bruce Wayne and Batman. I've got Walter White and his ability to be a family man, but then also his drug kingpin too. Okay. And then we've got John from Scranton, who can be a very nice guy and produce a lot of shows and be a good talker. But then we've got Simp John, who will go on to Lucy's, whatever show.
We all have our demons.
And that's lies in her too. The dichotomy of man is what I'm looking for. And nobody is a better example of that than Pam. Pam is the girl next door. She is the receptionist in every office that every guy thinks he might have a chance with. She's very kind, but she's also, for me, she's a bit of a doormat. Okay. Her kindness, her sweetness for me was always a little bit of a turnoff. And the things that she did, again, I'm just going down through facts. So I'm going to present to you what do people hate about Pam? Okay. She's too emotional. She's too insecure. She's a doormat for others to take advantage of.
Hold on a
And-
second. Who are we
Yes.
talking about? Me? Just feeling a little. I don't like where this is going. Right?
Listen, I did
Mike,
not
cover
think
your
about you at all when I was doing this, Mike. I promise. Okay. All right. What do people not like about Pam? The specifics within the show. Okay. Jim supported Pam through all of her art school endeavors.
This is my problem with her right
Okay.
here.
He couldn't have been nicer about this. Supported her with all her doodles.
I know
and
where you're going.
drawings. Okay. She, as soon as he went off to Philly to pursue his sports dreams, she instantly had a problem with that.
It ruined the fucking shit. You're 100% right, Red. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Go
got
off.
issues right off the top of the bat. Now this is season. I mean, we're talking 9 seasons of Pam Beesly. Okay.
Right.
Again, I like her, but there's these issues. Pam lied about a position at work during ownership transition to force herself into a promotion because she was failing at sales.
Mhm.
She lied about a position. How do you get away with that and keep your job? It's
Right.
insane.
Mhm.
Not as bad as showing up drunk to work. I mind you, but still, it's not good. It's not
Sure.
good. Okay, so I've got that. I'm gonna give you a few more points. Okay, she gave Michael shit about dating her mom, even though her mom really liked Michael,
Right.
and then gave him a hard time when he broke it off with her. Okay, so either way, Michael was going to lose in that situation.
Of course.
She lied about having lice in the office. Meredith took the blame. Meredith shaved her
Well,
head
that
in the
shows
office.
how ride or die Meredith is. I mean, I always said this, and I said, never mind, I'm not going to mention this because I said it on Lucy's show. Never mind, go on.
So Pam Beesly did that. She lied about having lice. She was flirting with Jim. She kissed Jim back, all while being engaged to Roy, and then lied to Roy about it until later on when she finally spilled the beans, and then he got mad, got arrested. Okay. And last but not least,
Best thing that ever happened to Roy.
Pam worked to sabotage Jim and Karen's relationship while Jim had moved on because Pam chose Roy over Jim.
Right.
These are just facts that I'm presenting to you. Now,
I'll add this, Red, to your rant
Please.
is that Roy was looked at as a villain, where he's a guy that maybe he was dragging his feet on getting married a little bit, but nice enough guy, obviously loved Pam, and his girlfriend was batting her eyes all day at old fucking homewrecker Halpert.
Yeah.
This is a dynamic that I love, and it's the second time I've seen it in American pop culture. It's like the Kristen Cavallari, whatever the other one's name was, like where the girl who had the boyfriend was the villain because this, harlot is trying to steal a boyfriend off her, and it was her show, so she was the good guy. And Kristen Cavallari is looked at as the bad guy, and now we have that again here. And people in the comments have some replies to what you were saying, Red. Over the sports when he went to Philly.
Yes.
People are saying that's they didn't have a family then. So
So
that's
what? It's
Yeah,
Jim,
exactly.
who is miserable in this job. He fucking hated this job for years. They bonded over how much they hate this fucking place and hate this office. The second Jim finally gets some goddamn ambition and wants to
passion.
spread his wings, Pam bitches about it and then lets him do it and still silently resents him.
Right. And that's the thing, that the subtle ways that she would cut him down while he was not even bring it up, not even bring up the issues that she has with it, just kind of short with him on the phone, holding a grudge that she would do.
the classic girl moves.
I will close with this, and I welcome the comments, the haters. My DMs are wide open. I will tell you this, okay? I am Team Karen for a number of different reasons.
Wow.
I'll tell you, Pam, nice lady, not a strong backcourt. Karen, strong backcourt. I'm an ass man myself.
Okay.
I'm Team Karen all the way. I close with that. Okay.
Okay,
That's
that was
how
a
I close it.
very good
I
argument.
respect it.
Okay.
And they really ruined Pam or maybe Pam always had this in her heart, where for 8 seasons you think she's the sweetheart, like the perfect girl next door, and then all of a sudden she's just this fucking miserable bitch that will just not let her man follow his dreams. And it's like, that wasn't Pam for the last 8 seasons.
John, she lied about a position at work. Got a position, lied about lice, my man. How do you...
Red, I've done that hundreds of times.
Haven't we all?
Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times.
All right, I close with that right there.
Oh, that's a good argument. I will... I think, Mike, so which side are you taking?
I agree with Red in that I don't hate Pam, but she was not the sweetheart that we were sold for the first 8 seasons.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
It.
And I'll close with this. Did Jim and Pam have sex on the first date? Another question I put up.
Ooh. Now we tried to tweet this. Somebody on Twitter I saw tried to tweet this at the two of them, and they never replied. Which you two are more than welcome on the show. We know you're huge
fans. It's very
fans,
disappointing. Yes.
yeah. Anytime you guys want to hop on here, you're open invite. But I would love to know that. I would really love to know that.
I think definitely yes. Right. I mean, they do seem like the type that might wait and say,
but now do you even trust Pam? Like, were they banging the whole time?
That's
like maybe she was playing the cameras.
Now, without the Red has opened our eyes to what Pam really is.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows?
Take a look is all I'm saying. Take a long look at your Pam Beesly, blind prison Mike. Take a closer look at her next time. Please.
Open your eyes, damn it. Join us here in reality.
Please.
Yep. A lot of people are saying you stole that whole argument off of Rosillo, and I have no issue with that.
Ryan Rosillo?
Yeah,
they said it's an old Rosillo bit.
I can't believe anyone knows an old Ryan Rosillo, but I'm impressed by that.
Red did his research. Maybe he used some Rosillo takes. He shouldn't be punished for that. He wanted to have a valid argument, which he just put forth for us.
Are you stealing Rosillo takes, Red?
Rosillo has a great head of hair, first off. Secondly, and most importantly, if I was going to do a deep dive and steal some work, would I steal it from Ryan Rosillo? Is that what I would do?
Who would possibly have heard this?
I mean, other than to troll John Dennis, if he's actually watching YouTube, that's the only.
He's another huge fan,
right? That's the only reason why I would use Rosillo.
Yeah. So, let me give you some Pam points.
Please do.
All right. Listen, Jim is my guy. Jim is my kind of guy.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, loyalty. I'm a guy who loves loyalty. I respect loyalty. Number 3, redheads. That's all I have to say. There's something different about how it tastes. Number 4. Sorry, my girlfriend just got mad at me. Number 4. No, she told me to be quiet. Number 4. Number 4 would be, I don't like Karen. So I'm just going to take this side no matter what, because I just don't like Karen ever. Okay. So let me break down those 4 points. Number 1, I forget which one number 1 was. So I'll go with number 2, loyalty. She was loyal as fuck to the world's best boss.
Yeah,
that motherfucker went with Michael Scott when he left the company. She stuck with Michael throughout the whole thing. So you have to commend her for that.
There was a nice father-daughter relationship there. Yes, I give you that. I'll grant you that. That's fine.
Yes.
She was still a bitch about her mom, though. She was a bitch about her mom.
That's true.
That's true. Number 1 was I love Jim. Jim's a romantic. I consider myself a romantic. I'm a guy who loves love. And Jim does that too. And he went to bat for Pam. So I believe in what Jim believes as a follower of Jim. So I have to take her side there again. Okay. Number 3, I hate Karen so much. I just hate her. Every time she's on screen, I hate her.
She's a strong professional woman with a strong backcourt.
Exactly. The opposite of what I love.
Okay.
No, Karen left the office because she had Parks and Rec to do. No loyalty. She left under Mifflin in Scranton, my hometown, because she found a bigger role. Show some loyalty. And obviously, last but not least, Pam's a redhead, and she's a rocket, dude. She's got some big old boobies on her too, dude. Her and And I said this. There was a blog post, and it was about the whole Pam thing, and it was her in the lingerie from what's it
Blaze of
called?
Glory?
Yeah. And somebody commented, they're like, at least use a real Pam photo from The Office if you're going to talk about Pam, not whatever, Jenna Fisher. And I was like, well, she didn't wear lingerie in The Office.
Yeah, right.
Which
Come on.
do you want me to use, from her pencil skirt or her pants? It's like, so I think she's a rocket too. So I will all day, every day be taking Pam's side.
Okay.
All right, boys.
She's very Scranton.
Well, that's all that really matters, Danielle. So try and think about that the next time you watch The Office. This was another fun one. We kind of scrapped Bring the Funny because it was just, I watched the first episode and just kind of sat there. It was exactly what you would expect it to be.
Yes.
So if we'll find a new reality show to get to for next week.
Yes.
We may also get to Afterlife, which I just watched. So we can get to that next week, and we will let you know what else is up.
Could talk about too is maybe Westworld. We could look into.
That's a good one. I said Brockmire's another good one. We got a lot to get to over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So to stay updated, follow @MustSee on Twitter, and we'll let you know there because we figured why clog up our timelines. If you want to follow the show, follow the show.
Right.
So @MustSee for that, and then until then, we'll talk to you next week at this exact same time.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You,
see you, boys.